Okay, here is an example of Manchester United's shape and an example of their formation which we think they adopted throughout the game. Generally, it seemed to be a 4-1-4-1 formation. However, as we can see here, it seems that the defensive line is made up of 5 defenders, a midfield bank of 4, and just Marcus Rashford up front. The reason why we suggest it's a 4-1-4-1 formation is because Ander Herrera is that man who is operating between defence and the midfield. In defensive phases of play, i.e. for this clip, while defending a set piece, he drops in to add more cover and stability to the defence, whereas in attacking transitions, he would operate in his normal position as a midfielder. It is something which Mourinho seems to have adopted in other games this season. One that we can remember being the FA Cup quarter-final against Chelsea, where Phil Jones operated in a similar capacity. So here we see another example. This is when Manchester United are protecting a lead late in the game. And this, as mentioned, is another example of the 4-1-4-1 formation, with Herrera operating in between the 2 banks of 4 of defence and midfield. Here's an instance of Manchester United's high pressing that they employed, especially in the early parts of the game, especially when it was 0-0 in the final third. You see aggressive pressing from the likes of Darmian, Mkhitaryan and Blind, and they do eventually win the ball back in dangerous areas. Here we see a high energy, intense press by Marcus Rashford, leading the line, so to speak. But what we also see is that the other 3 offensive players, Fellaini, Pogba and Mkhitaryan, also collectively shift over and pressurise Celta Vigo's other players as well. So it's a collective press led by Marcus Rashford. So our next point about the game was the performance of Paul Pogba. In our opinion, it's one of the best performances, especially in the first half, that we've seen this season from him. And actually one of the first times we thought he'd utilised his great physical attributes, his strength and his power. We're going to see in the forthcoming clip how he wins the ball. Firstly, he cuts out a pass and then drives forward, and it sort of summed up his performance. It was decisive, and he did a lot of the right things. Again, here's another great example of Pogba utilising his great strength and physical presence. He turns, shields the ball well from the Celta Vigo player and sprays a brilliant pass out wide. Okay, so in these clips we see the relationship between Pogba and Fellaini, i.e. when Pogba pushes up the field and is attacking, Fellaini seems to drop and cover for him. And likewise, when Fellaini is up top, Pogba seems to drop deeper into midfield and cover the space left there. With the addition of Ander Herrera, who seems to be the anchor in midfield, this offers a solid base for Man United, both in defending possible counter-attacks. Here's a great instance of Pogba and Fellaini working in tandem. Fellaini tracks the midfield run of the Celta Vigo player, wins the ball and plays it to Pogba. Pogba shows a great bit of skill and bursts past the player and slips in Mkhitaryan, who really should score.